Hello and welcome to the first mixed media menagerie for 2021. I began this month by combing through the supplies of the ephemera drop, and the ephemera drop was actually mine this month. I provided a lot of supplies to potentially gel print with because one of the elements that we needed to do this month was do some gel printing. So I included a bunch of papers and tools and funny things that perhaps we could use for gel printing. After combing through those supplies and remembering what I included, I grabbed my Dina Wakley Media Journal, my soft pastels, my Velcro, and my tools for carving a stamp and pink to begin the process. However, I put a pause on that and did my jelly printing first. I didn't include the gel printing process in this video, so it wouldn't be over too much to watch too long, but I have a link below and at the end with a short little video of my gel processing. So then I opened my Dina Wakley Media denim blue journal to a spread with the burlap in between, and I had kind of this idea of maybe what I wanted to do, but then I lost it. This month was a struggle. So the first thing I did actually was try to break my pages with some hearts. I spray painted this black Liquitex spray paint through a couple times through this Tim Holtz heart stencil, sprayed it through, and then turned it over and did the opposite just to try to break these pages. Then I grabbed this printed paper, cut it apart, and began some process of some collaging, and it really just fell apart. I'm going to include all of my mess here for you to see, and you'll kind of, as you watch this, you're going to be like, hello, this looks nothing like the picture in the beginning, and that's absolutely true. You'll see in just a minute that I completely gesso over what I did. So I'm going to collage some papers on here, and I'll let you just watch my process, and I'll talk in a minute to share with you what I did. After I collaged all those papers on, I tried to unite them using some golden heavy body paint in a light pink and a lighter purple, and I did not like it. So I completely gessoed over the whole thing. I actually sat in my desk, I don't know for how long, and felt completely empty and blank on what to do. I had no idea. I don't think I have ever experienced such artist block before. I just had no ideas. So I saw this straw, which was one thing that I included, and just decided to stamp with it. I had nothing else to do other than to get out my aggression and anger and frustration at not knowing what to do. And you'll see in just a minute right there, I actually threw down the straw mad because my brain just seriously would not function. I didn't know how to create. I forgot I was an artist. I really didn't know what to do. So I even got mad and tried to wipe those spots away, and they wouldn't wipe away. And I was like, I can't gesso over this a third time, so I'm going to just go with it. So I continued the stamping process with that straw on the other side of the spread. I actually stepped away for a tiny bit, and it dried a little bit longer. And so when I came back and tried to wipe it away, it was too dry. So that didn't work like the left page. So I cheated and put a little bit of ink on that right side to try to get it to match the left. Then I tried to add a little bit more gesso to kind of push back that gray dingy look, but kept a little bit of it on the edges. I think what was important for me to show you that first process is that in actuality, those first papers that I put down and gessoed over were lending to texture behind. And so the gesso, the grunginess, the wiping away of that ink was actually, I can't think of the word, was actually clinging to those little papers underneath. You can kind of see the texture that they create. So it kind of created some ridges and valleys for texture. And so if all else fails, put down a bunch of papers and gesso over them to create some texture. Then I grabbed the bag that I had put a bunch of the ephemera in and decided to use that because I thought the dots lended itself to the dots, and it was kind of mute and pink and didn't seem very overwhelming, because seriously, I am still facing major artist block here. So I put that down with some matte medium in a few spaces and just hoped that it would bring inspiration. And I grabbed that gesso again to kind of incorporate it, push it back, grunge it up. And again, wasting time here, not sure what I'm going to do. So after gesso, if all else fails, grab those trusty stabilos, and I just created some lines around those polka dots, some lines away from them. Again, this is another stall and delay technique I have no idea what I'm going to create. So I used the graphite stabilo, the black stabilo, created some circles just to add again another layer of texture. And then I will grab my paintbrush and activate them a little bit to add some more shading and grunginess to the pages. Then I picked up those jelly prints and thought, let's play with those, see if I can get some inspiration from them. And I just cut a few of the hearts out, arranged them on the page to see if it would spark a little bit of inspiration. And so far, it's not. Okay, well, then I decided if the white gesso didn't work, maybe I need some black gesso. And I grabbed a black gesso and a palette knife and decided to try maybe a black and white and pink concept here and spread that black gesso around on the left page and the right page. And poof, as you can see, I didn't like that either and wiped most of that gesso away. I left a little bit of it on the tops and the bottoms to add a little grunge to those pages. And at this point, I actually sat at my desk for I don't know how long, not knowing what to do. And I saw this stencil over to the left that I had played with earlier in the week and grabbed it and thought, well, I was really enjoying this technique that I tried a few days ago. I don't know what to do or where to go. If nothing else, playing is going to spark something, and I can always gesso it over it again, or put papers over it if I don't like it. So if you didn't see my 30-minute process videos, I'll link them below and maybe in the iCard above of this technique that I discovered this past weekend of stenciling using the applicator through a stencil and then grabbing some water and some paint on my brush to kind of make it look a little watercolory. So I used Dina Wakley's Night and put that through the stencil, made it watercolory, also put it a little bit on that burlap page that I also had gessoed over a lot with the gesso, trying to break these pages and get past my artist block. I also did the stenciling technique on that right page, but I think I forgot to record it because I couldn't find the video anywhere. But you'll see that I kind of mirrored it left and right, used the larger and the smaller version of the stencil to create just a little background to who knows at this point what I was going to do next. So I'm looking at my pages going, these are great and all, but we're supposed to include pink. Besides my gel printing, which I also need to include, how in the heck am I going to add pink to these pages? I had those paper bags that were kind of in the background, so I picked up this Dina Wakley blushing. It's a light pink color and added some gesso with it just to put some hints of pink throughout these pages. Again, another not knowing where this is going to go, but trying to put some pink on my pages. I just used my finger and spread it throughout lightly, incorporating it with gesso and at full strength to add hints of pink on my pages. And let's see, Nicole, what else can you stabilo? I thought those hearts were kind of cool in the background. I really like the bottom right corner on the front of the page now, and thought I'd try to bring those hearts out with a little bit of stabilo. I'm going to be completely honest. At this point, I'm actually considering texting Aaron and Laura and saying, that's it. I'm not doing a page this month. My pages stink. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I'm just not going to have a page this month. So I decided I needed to deal with this burlap page, and since our theme was for the love, we could do it any way we wanted for the love of a quote, of a supply, of anything, even negative. I thought, well, I'll put a heart. So when I put that heart down, I decided I needed to extend my little stenciling, and added that extension so you could see it through the heart. And I'm still not happy with what I'm doing. I added some of more of that shading around the heart here, and I'm thinking through what for the love theme am I going to do? Where am I going to go with this? Honestly, Artist Black is hitting me strong in this spread. I kept saying in my head, for the love, like, come on, Nicole, what are you going to do? So this page is going to become for the love. Like, come on, get it together, be a better artist, or figure out what you're going to do, or don't wait till last minute to do this project, because it didn't come together. In the end, you'll see that it does come together, but it was a struggle. And I hope that you're hearing that and realizing that even though we put stuff on YouTube or Instagram or out there as artists, that it's not always perfect, and there's a struggle, and I'm being real and showing you my struggle here. So we also had to include the soft pastels, so I decided to grab those out and do some mark making. It didn't work out that great. You'll see that it kind of disappears. I used some Spectra Fix to fix it, and I either didn't get enough down or it didn't work on these pastels, because eventually these little X's that I make, and then I put a little teal color as well, it kind of disappears. You see it a little bit, but in reality it didn't work didn't work very well either. But and these are just regular old soft pastels, and in the end I probably should have used a better fixative to keep them, but you can see them, they're okay. It worked. I included the product that I needed to. So then I had this idea to put this banner in the heart, and you'll see me, I use a crocodile to punch the holes. I think I didn't include that in the video, and string the little banners that I included in the ephemera pack, and tried to dress up this heart a little bit. So I got this little banner strung, and I actually in the end didn't like it. I didn't measure it correctly. It looked funny when I flipped it. It just didn't seem to work. It didn't feel like me. And at this point, I went to bed. So I actually laid in bed that night thinking about what could I do. I needed to include Velcro. I didn't like the way this heart was working. And I thought, well, let's just cut the heart in half. I actually considered cutting the whole burlap page out, but I thought I'd start in pieces and just cut it in half, and if I didn't like the half, I could cut a little more and a little more and see where it went. So I cut it in half, removed that banner, and then decided that the burlap needed some stenciling so that it would blend in with the other two pages, and did that same stenciling process on the front and the back of the burlap. And you also see that little heart I have to the left. For some reason, putting that heart there was calling me, but I was too nervous to do it because I thought once I put it there, I didn't know what else I was going to do with it. So since we needed to include pink, I thought, let's pull out that fluorescent pink, delay a little bit more time, and add some pink to my pages with some little fluorescent dots. I grabbed a small paintbrush and just sat there and put dots on the right and the left of the pages. Eventually we'll put them a little bit on the top and on the burlap as well. love that Erin chose Velcro for something we need to include it in our journal pages this time. Who knew? Velcro is a fun little tool to use on your journal pages. I decided to use that Velcro to stick that burlap page down, so it's kind of a secret peel away. And as I was sticking it down, I had decided or figured out, I guess, that I could also create a pocket with it. So you're going to see that process of me even adding some more Velcro to create a little pocket here that I'm going to put a tag in. And you'll see that heart also fell out. I really spent some time off camera playing with those hearts, trying to figure out how I was going to incorporate them on my pages as well. There's my discovery of the little tag, and I'm going to add a little bit more Velcro to create a little pocket for the tag. Next is another little stalling technique, or adding a little bit more pink to my pages with the new Dina Wakley media spray. I just flicked it on for some pink, and then I actually took my finger and spread it on a little bit to add a little more depth of pink color where I had already put the pink acrylic. So my other idea when I was laying in bed that night before thinking about my pages was to complete the heart with some writing. And so I grabbed that burlap heart that I had cut out of the pages to use as a template, and just wrote around the heart. And I was trying to think of some amazing quote or some piece of advice or some heartfelt message. And again, major artist block. So all I wrote over and over and over again was "for the love," because that's what I kept saying in my head as I was creating this page, was "for the love." Come on, get your artist head together and get these pages created. And so I finally decided to be brave and put that heart down. Once I put it down, I knew that I would have to deal with it and figure out where to go. And so I decided I couldn't deny or delay the inevitable, that heart just needed to be there. I stuck the heart down with some matte medium, tried to shadow it in or blend it in a little bit with that night paint, and you'll see my process from here. I'm going to layer a few more hearts down on this page. So I'm just laying a few more of those jelly printed hearts down. Again, my process video for the jelly printing is going to be linked below, and created a little collage with those hearts. As I put them down, I'm also going to blend them in a little bit with some of that night shading. I didn't like how it looked like the hearts were like coming at you or in front of those vines that I had created, so I stenciled, picked up the stencil and put it down again to make those flower vines or spinners, or I forget what Dina calls them. They're little seeds from the trees, and stenciled that in front and added some more of that night shading to push those hearts back and to make them feel like they're part of the page and not just something that wasn't planned. I wanted it to look intentional, like I knew what I was doing. I hope it's working. So I'm just going to continue to add a little bit more of that watered down night around that heart to add some shadowing now that I see that it kind of blends in with the background page, and adding that to the hearts as well. And then I realized that I also needed to extend those little pink dots on top of the heart. So I'm adding just a few pink dots on the bottom left and the top to make those hearts push back. Alright, so the next thing we needed to do was carve a stamp, and I decided that in the beginning I was going to wait till the very end to carve a stamp so that it would be kind of the top of my page as a centerpiece, but then my pages got to become a little busy and I wasn't sure how to incorporate a stamp on those pages, so I thought that my little pocket for the tag would be a perfect little spot to hide my little stamped image. I'm going to be honest here, this is only the second stamp I've ever carved. The first one was in a Jean Oliver class where she taught us how to carve stamps. And so I don't have a lot of experience. I'm going to tell you that I don't have any techniques to share, just what I learned from Jean in that class that I took. And so if I'm not doing things correctly, if you're a avid stamp carver, I apologize. I decided I just wanted to make like a woodcut, kind of lino cut heart to go on my tag. So I made sure that I measured the tag on top of my stamping surface so I wouldn't make the heart too big, and just carved heart tracings of a heart, I guess, around the heart. Then I grabbed my Speedball ink to test it out to see if I needed to carve it more, and I tested it out a few times. I didn't record it all because it became monotonous. This is going to be my first test, and then I'm going to test it and carve a few more times, and then I actually forgot to record my actual final stamp on the tag, and you'll see that in a minute. From here is my first carving to when I get to the end and how I like it. And there's my final carved image. I really like how this turned out for my second only carved stamp. And then I decided also I needed to grunge up this tag to make it blend in with the colors I had chosen. So I'm going to water down that night, add some shadow shading to the front and the back, add some fluorescent polka dots, and also add one little stencil of that image in the same process of that watered down effect. So I pulled out that string and those little banners that I had used before and used that to attach my tag to the page. It already had a hole punched from my first attempt at doing this, and so I just used that little hole and attached the banners and the string to my tag and tucked it into my little pocket. Next, I added just a little bit of that night watered down paint to those tags so they wouldn't stick out and look kind of funny. Then I decided I needed to add some words to my tag, so I grabbed some of those Tim Holtz word stickers and just put "For the Love." Again, I had nothing inspiring to write other than for the love, because again, I kept repeating that in my head. It was kind of an encouragement to me to continue to be frustrated, to work through it, to get to a place where even if you don't 100% love what you've created, it was the process of getting there and working through that artist brain block that was the most important in the end for me. And then I realized as I was adding some matte medium to those stickers that stabilo all paint wasn't permanent. So I had to fix it up there a little bit. I actually did fix it with some fixative afterwards. And then I also decided that my lettering wasn't dark enough, so I grabbed a Sharpie marker and made that For the Love a little bit darker. I looked at my pages, tucked that tag in, and decided that was good. I completed it. I want to thank you all so much for joining on this process and watching my mess of a page finally come together in the end. I hope this encourages you to work through problems, to gesso over something, to make new discoveries, and to just enjoy the process in the end, even if you have to say it for the love over and over again. And eventually, maybe instead of being frustrated saying for the love, you'll in the end say for the love because you end up loving your page. Thank you guys again so much for supporting Erin, Laura, and I on this mixed media menagerie journey. I look forward to coming back next month and hopefully not having so much of an artist block. Thank you again so much for joining us. Again, links to Erin and Laura at the end, and my gel printing process will also be included. If you follow along and join us on this journey, hashtag it mixed media menagerie on Instagram so that we can find you. Thank you again so much.